everybody, this is Gen7Pkmn I For this video will be the last part to this whole nice little thing that I was doing for like a little while now, which is basically talking about around 10 Pokemon from each generation that I have a liking for. So this one is pretty much going to be the last generation until Generation 8 comes out, gets all settled in and everything, and I find Pokemon there that I have a liking for. So this is pretty much Generation 7, the current up-to-date generation. So without further ado, the first Pokemon that I do want to talk about that I have a liking for in Generation 7 is that of Wishiwashi. Now, what is it that I like about Wishiwashi? Well, it's not really the base form that I have a liking for. It's more or less of its school form that I have a liking for. But I like the whole entire concept of Wishiwashi, where it's basically you just have this little tiny puny weakling of a fish where its stats are just laughably small. But then, once its schooling ability activates, where basically when a Wishiwashi reaches level 20 or higher and has more than 1/4 of its maximum HP left, it then becomes this utterly massive version of itself, where it's basically like a whole colony just merged into one. And it's just like so big and intimidating that said that even Gyarados fear this thing. That just shows how fearsome this thing looks. But from a competitive standpoint, basically by Smogon standards, it completely sucks, it's completely irrelevant, worthless, pathetic, useless, blah blah blah. But taking a look at the stats of school form Wishiwashi is just, oh my god. I mean, Wishiwashi sacrifices 10 points in speed, but gains like practically a massive boost in everything else. 140 in both attack stats, 130 in defense, and 135 in special defense. That's scary. And the fact that in the original Sun and Moon, Wishiwashi's school form was pretty much a totem in Lana's trial. And it was difficult to take down. Not to say as much as Ultra Sun and Moon's totem Araquanid, which was even harder. But Wishiwashi was still hard. So that's really all I can say about Wishiwashi, is that I just like the concept and I love his school form design. Now, Shiny Wishiwashi? Well, it's not really too much of a change in terms of its school form, where it's basically all the blue on its body definitely becomes more deep and saturated, and its eyes and eyelid turn a yellow color. But honestly, I like that change. It just makes Wishiwashi look a little better. No, really, straight up, it just does look better. So overall, I just love Wishiwashi's concept, and I love the design of its school form, even though Smogon says battle prowess-wise he completely and utterly sucks. But that's all I can really say. Cool Pokemon concept. Anyway, next Pokemon in line is that of Crabominable. Now, y'all are probably thinking, why did I choose Crabominable? Because, from what I heard, nobody really likes this thing whatsoever. Except for probably one person who I've heard of actually likes Crabominable, and is that of the YouTuber known as Fawful's Minion. He's the only one that I've heard that he actually likes Crabominable. So, yeah, thank you, Fawful's Minion, for being like the only other person that I've heard of that says that likes Crabominable. And I mean, for me with Crabominable, I really like his design. Really loving those big old beefy arms. Yeah, he may have a silly looking face, but I believe that's kind of part of his charm. He's basically a big old lug that you just kind of like when you think about it. Though there is one thing about Crabominable that I don't like. It's the fact of how you get to Crabominable through the means of evolution from Crabrawler. Basically, you get a Crabrawler. It's not until you get to the last area of the game before the Pokemon League is when you can be able to evolve Crabrawler into Crabominable. That's really ridiculous. Because, like, seriously, you catch a Crabrawler like fairly early in the game of your story, and you want to evolve it, you're pretty much out of luck until you get to the last area of the game before the league. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but having to wait an extremely long time for that, I really feel like it's not even worth it. Now, competitively speaking, just like Wishy-Washy, Smogon says Crabominable utterly sucks. But I gotta appreciate the typing. Fighting and Ice. Because Fighting and Ice are really good offensive types. And of course we all know the whole case of Ice not being a good defensive type. But if I remember this correctly, the combination of Fighting and Ice could be able to deal with half of the type chart. How amazing is that? And pretty much talking about Crabominable's abilities being Anger Point, meaning Crabominable gets struck by a crit and lives. His attack stat gets maxed out. Having Hyper Cutter, pretty much meaning you can't lower Crabominable's attack. And Iron Fist is pretty much, well, it increases the power of any punching move that Crabominable has. In terms of stats, Crabominable is just, well, having really good attack and very slow. 132 attack. That's impressive. But 43 speed, yeah. I mean, for all high attacking, slow Pokemon, they could be good for Trick Rooms, if you want to go with that. And I mean, for Crabominable, like, he does have sets going for him, but yeah, like Smogon says, he's complete garbage. He's irrelevant. He just sucks. But really, sometimes you just never know how good a Pokemon can really truly be until you actually use them in the right way. Anyways, Shiny Crabominable. I will say, I actually do like Shiny Crabominable more than regular. Because what they basically did is that they just take the light blue parts and just make it red. And I do believe the bluish purple parts become more saturated, I think. I'm not 100% sure about that. And the yellow hair part on the top of his head gets more of a orange tint to it. But yeah, like I said, I feel like it's better than that Shiny Crabominable is better than regular. So that's all I can really say about Crabominable. I definitely like him way more than a lot of others do. And he's just a case of don't judge a book by its cover. Like, he may have a derpy, goofy looking face, but behind that doopy, goofy face is some serious power. So, yeah. Sometimes you don't want to mess with this big old crab. Anyway, moving on to the next Gen 7 Pokemon in line. This one, to me, really just kind of really amazed me when I saw this thing. And it is, well, a Rockrunnid. Oh, man. First of all, you just can't deny that Araquanid has a really good design to it. Because, I mean, you just look at this thing, and it just looks like just a spider that just came from the deep reaches of space. It's basically a giant alien spider that, well, it's basically interesting to note that Araquanid and its pre-evolution Dewpider are basically like they're based off of the diving bell spiders, but it's kind of the other way around how they live, because basically diving bell spiders have a bubble of air to where they can be able to live underwater, but with Araquanid and Dewpider it's the other way around. They basically have bubbles of water to be able to be above the water, or to be above out of the water. So yeah, that's a pretty cool concept, just basically taking the diving bell spider's concept and reversing it. So basically, instead of bubble of air to be underwater, it's bubble of water to be out of water. And basically, water bubble is one of Araquanid's abilities. And what it states here is that basically Araquanid's attacking stat is doubled while using a water type attack, and stab is added onto that as well. And not to mention that if the opposing Pokemon uses a fire type attack against Araquanid, the opposing Pokemon's attack stat is halved when calculating the damage to this Pokemon. This Pokemon cannot be burned, and that's just amazing. Basically, Water Bubble basically halves the damage of fire type attacks, cannot get burned, and its water type attacks are powered up on top of Stab. That is ridiculous. And basically its other ability is that of Water Absorb, where basically Araquanid has a complete immunity to water and restores 1/4 of its maximum HP if it is hit by a water type move. So Araquanid has a good ability either way. Now here's the interesting thing about Araquanid is basically his stats. Basically his greatest stat is that of special defense. And his attack stats are, I mean, 70 attack and 50 special attack. I would have thought that Araquanid would have been more of an attacker, but he's actually more of a special wall. So that's an interesting way to go. Anyway, shiny Araquanid. Oh man, this is seriously one of the best shinies ever in Gen 7. Because seriously, they basically took the red eyes and the red bumps on his head, making them a red, slightly orangish look to it, keeping the black body the same, and then taking the what I would call lime green legs and making them purple. This is just an absolutely perfect combination for shiny Araquanid to have. And what's also a little interesting thing is that for Araquanid's design, those three roundish bumps on top of Araquanid's head, you basically look at his model from above. Those three bumps on his head are basically just a big old smiley face, which is derived from another spider with the same kind of concept on its, I believe it's abdomen, though I forgot the name of the spider. Anybody can tell me down in the comments of what that spider is that I'm talking about. The one that basically has like a smiley face-like design on its abdomen. Yeah, I completely forgot the name of it. But yeah, overall, Araquanid is a really awesome design Pokemon. A bit more on the defensive side than I thought it would be, and his shiny is just downright amazing. Definitely one of my favorite shinies in all of Gen 7. Alrighty, moving on to the next Gen 7 Pokemon line, it is Vikavolt. Now, what is there to be said about Vigavolt? Well, he is definitely a cool looking beat-up Pokemon. Because for one, you see those outer mandibles that he has. They're just like big old stinking chompers that look like its own version of like the Jaws of Life or something. I don't know really. But yeah, this was basically what the final evolved form of Grubbin looks like. And when I saw this, I'm like, I might actually consider about putting this on my team. And I didn't. Because, well, it was early on in the game where I found Magnemite. So that became my electric Pokemon right there. But in terms of Vigavolt's stats, basically kind of like in the way of like Magneton, or basically Magnezone, Vigavolt is a really good special attacker. 145. That's all I could say. And his defense is not bad. It's alright. Or no, it's good. 90 base defense is alright. I'm sorry, I meant good. Ugh. And the fact that with him being a bug electric, well, he does have those resistances, but the weakness to fire and rock. But the fact that Vigavolt has the ability to levitate, pretty much meaning he has the immunity to ground moves. And like, yeah, there's things that you can do with the likes of Vigavolt, like pivot, or just basically go like normally and just go with choice specs. Because choice specs can definitely be good on a Vigavolt. And yeah, that's all there is to be said about that. Now, shiny Vigavolt. Just like what the Rock one did, its colors just made it look that much better than the original. And what it is that they take the deep saturated teal color, making it more of a white color, and taking the inner mandibles, making them more of a deep saturated orange, and then taking the yellow spots on his abdomen and the yellow going down the sides of his outer mandibles and making them into like a bright lime green color. Again, just a really awesome combination for a Vigavolt. And yeah, it's just overall just better than regular Vigavolt. So that's all I can really say about Vigavolt. Love the design. Really good special attacker. Shiny is just plain amazing. And just overall, I like him. And if I were to play, say, Moon again or Ultra Sun again, I would probably think about grabbing a Grubbin and using Vigavolt. Because it would be nice to try and use a different special attacker. Alright. Next Gen 7 Pokemon in line is, well, that of one of the few Ultra Beasts that I have a liking for, or really just one of the handful of Ultra Beasts that I like. And it is, well, Nagadonel. Basically the evolved form of Poipole. And first of all, I absolutely love this design. Where it's basically sort of like a dragon wasp. Even though for the fact for me, I really can't stand wasps. Like, they're like one of my least favorite insects because, well, I really don't know exactly why I hate wasps. It's just, I just really don't like them. And with Nagadonel, I guess you could say he's kind of an exception. And the fact that he's basically a poison dragon type, which I'm trying to think, were there any other dragon poison types? Oh yeah, Dragalge. Yeah, Dragalge is a poison dragon type. And basically, of course, with Man, even still today, I still have a hard time pronouncing his name. Like, Naga... Okay, I think I should just pronounce it the way that I have. Or Naganadel. Ugh. With Naganadel basically having the primacy ability that all Ultra Beasts have, which is Beast Boost, was basically kind of like their own version of Moxie. But instead of just attack, it's basically the Ultra Beast's highest stat is raised up by 1 if it knocks out another Pokemon. So in the case of Naganadel, it would be that of special attack. Because basically with Naganadel, that it hits specially really hard and hits really fast. And all the rest of its stats are all at base 73. And of course with it being with this kind of stats, it's basically Ubers, and it's got all the sets for like Ubers, got like sets for doubles, battle spots, singles, and VGC and all that jazz. So yeah, it is basically an Uber, so it's bound to be good. Now, shiny Naganadel. Oh boy, do I absolutely adore these colors. Basically, taking the purple, the different shades of purple, and replacing it with yellow and black definitely brings out more of the wasp within it. And this is, without a doubt, my second favorite shiny of all time, next to Metagross. And I almost really feel like that shiny Naganadel is definitely giving shiny Metagross some competition for me for favorite shiny overall. And the fact that when I replayed Ultra Sun and went to SR for shiny Poipole, I decided to nickname it Hypodermic, because basically like hypodermic needles. So that was kind of fun right there. So pretty much Naganadel, really love the design, really love the shiny. I mean, yeah, really love the shiny. And it is just a really cool Pokemon that I would definitely use on a team if I was given the chance. Alright, starting to get near the end of this list with the next Ultra Beast that I want to talk about that I have a huge liking for. And, well, it's Guzzlord. Ho ho ho, yes, I love this big old chomper. So what can be said about Guzzlord? Well, I will have to say its design is just, well, I guess you could say, yeah, his design is out of this world. Because I never would have imagined that they would design a Pokemon, or basically in this case an Ultra Beast like this. Where it's like, or I kind of jokingly thought of it as like the most mutated looking Kirby I've ever seen. Because essentially, Guzzlord here is a black hole. Because he just basically eats and eats and eats, and, well, he never poops. Yeah, his Dex entry says that he doesn't do that. Or they say that Guzzlord's droppings have never been found. Which pretty much has a good indication that Guzzlord is a black hole. I guess that's kind of why he got the dark typing. But joking as aside, the one thing that really got me about Guzzlord is these big old arms that lead to these absolutely massive pincers at the front coming out of his lower jaw. And the fact that the inside of his mouth is all spiky, and the fact that even his tongue is covered in spikes, and having like a second pair of arms coming out from the top of his massive head, and the fact that Guzzlord has 2 pair of eyes. One just above the main mouth, and one on this very small head, which I'm not quite sure if some people actually notice that. and the fact that he also has like basically a spiked and Kylosaur-like tail, which if he could be able to swing with such force that it could just, you know, destroy buildings like they're nothing. Well, I guess it kind of does say that Guzzlord could be able to, like, you know, chomp down buildings. But yeah, I just love Guzzlord's design. Though, a lot of people definitely do say that, like, Guzzlord is, like, the worst Ultra Beast ever made. And that's kind of unfortunate from my perspective, because I really feel like Guzzlord could do something. Even though the fact that with him being the same typing as Dragon, knowing that he just gets completely slaughtered by fairy types, which is very disappointing. But with Guzzlord's stats, yeah, looking at Guzzlord's stats, and once again, I do apologize for any background noises, because I do believe that was my sister you probably just heard. Basically with Guzzlord, he has some good attack stats, and his HP is massive. I mean, it's not the absolute highest base HP, but it's definitely up there. Base 223 HP. That is a lot of HP, but it would be a lot of HP if it weren't for the fact that Guzzlord has really poor defenses. Both of them at base 53. That's really unfortunate for Guzzlord, that he has all of his HP he could ever want, but no defense to back it up. But I mean, at least he could be a wall breaker, or you can slap an assault vest or choice ban him. Choice banned him. Yeah, y'all know what I meant. So, yeah. Pretty much people really don't want to use Guzzlord because I get they just really just don't see him as competitively viable, but hey, this is pretty much this is what happens when it comes to the competitive side of Pokemon. Pretty much saying, if they're not competitively viable, they suck. When they should really realize that these main core Pokemon games are meant to be RPG world builders, which pretty much mean that not every Pokemon in existence is going to be competitively viable, which, yeah. Anyway, kind of derailing out the point here. But yeah, back to Guzzlord. To be talking about Shiny Guzzlord, they definitely chose some interesting colors to make Shiny Guzzlord. Pretty much what they did is that they took the blackish blue, turning it white, and then changing the yellow parts to an orange color. That to me is some interesting colors. But this is where I'm going to unfortunately say that these aren't exactly the greatest colors for a Shiny Guzzlord. I mean, they're not the worst colors to choose, but they're not the greatest. And this is where I will say that I prefer more of regular Guzzlord's colors to Shiny Guzzlord's. But hey, the colors will be worth it when you go spend your time in the Ultra Wormholes and trying to get Guzzlord's world in those white wormholes. Because yeah, out of all the Ultra Beasts that are available in the Ultra Wormholes in Ultra Sun and Moon, Guzzlord is the rarest. Because the time that I went through those Ultra Wormholes, I only found Guzzlord's world twice. But luck was on my side, and it was actually back to back. So yeah, getting back to back Guzzlord's realm was pretty nice. So yeah, pretty much Guzzlord I just love so much, and he is actually pretty much my favorite Ultra Beast, with Meganadel not too far behind. So that's all I can really say. It's that I like Guzzlord way more than other people do. So yeah, he's just really stinking cool design-wise. Even though some people would say that he might be a bit over-designed, but whatever. Alright. Next Gen 7 Pokemon that I want to talk about is that of Lycanroc, but more specifically, the Midnight form. So, why did I choose the Midnight form over Midday and Dusk? Well, Midnight Lycanroc is definitely more of like a werewolf than the other two, and the fact of how the way his design is, I just love it. Because, yeah, with Lycanroc, it was basically the first wolf Pokemon since, like, say, Magnetric, I believe. So it was really cool that we finally got another wolf Pokemon. And, well, considering the fact that we are going to get the likes of Zacian and Zamazenta in Sword and Shield, and they are basically the first canine legendaries and all that. But Lycanroc Midnight, I just like him because of the fact that he's just more evil, more sinister, and for me it's like I tend to lean more towards like villainy than heroism in a fictional sense, not in a non-fictional sense, because I'm the other way around when it comes to good and bad people in the real world. I prefer more the good than the evil, but fictional, I prefer more the evil to the good. Okay, just getting that out of the way. And Lycanroc Midnight is pretty much that. He's basically like a dark, sinister wolf. Though the thing of it is, when I saw Lycanroc Midnight's type, that it was just a pure rock, I was like, what? Come on, he could have totally been a rock dark type. But I guess it would have kind of broke the mold of Lycanroc's forms being pure rock types, so yeah. Now, Lycanroc Midnight competitively, yeah, like with the case of like Wishiwashi and Crabominable, Smogon says Lycanroc Midnight completely sucks. Though I will say his stats are not complete garbage. I mean, he has a good attack stat of 115, and he's not too terribly slow at 82. Though this does bring up one thing about a lot of the Gen 7 Pokemon that really confuses me, and it's that of, why are they so gosh darn slow? Like, seriously, Game Freak, why did you make, like, a good amount of the Gen 7 Pokemon, like, almost laughably slow? But, besides the point. Yeah, basically, Lycanroc has the abilities of Kenai, pretty much meaning, basically, you can't lower his accuracy. He has the good ability in No Guard, where basically every move used by or against this Pokemon will always hit. And Vital Spirit, pretty much meaning Lycanroc will not be able to fall asleep, and gaining this ability while asleep cures it. But, I mean, you can still, like Smogon says that you can still do something with Lycanroc Midnight, which is basically Choice Scarf set. But again, they pretty much say he's completely irrelevant, he's horrible, trash, garbage, why would you want to use him, blah blah blah. And what was actually a funny little thing of when I first saw Lycanroc Midnight is that when I saw him, I was like, oh my god, it's Verlisify manifested into a Pokemon. And yeah, that was kind of a bad thing to think about, because I'm just saying this right now, yeah, I do know about Verlisify and his his reputation for what he is, and I need to explain no more, because y'all can go check out what Verlisify's reputation is and see how it's going. Anyway, shiny Lycanroc Midnight. Well, let's just say they chose the right colors, because basically all three forms of Lycanroc all share one thing: blue. but different shades of blue. Where basically with midday, it's a light blue. With midnight, it's basically, well, I guess you could say it's a midnight blue. Sorry. I just couldn't resist making the pun. And with dusk, it's just kind of like a shade that's in between the sky blue and the midnight blue. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, I will say all three of them are overall better than their originals, especially for midnight and dusk. Midday, it's a bit more questionable. Though the thing about with Like a Rock Midnight Shiny is that it has like deep magenta eyes, which is a little weird, but I've looked past it. So, pretty much to say, I like a Rock Midnight more than Dusk and Midday. Though, I kind of wish he was a part Dark type, but it is what it is. And overall, I just like a Rock Midnight just for his design, his posture, and the fact that he can be like a sinister little werewolf. Alrighty. Now, to be talking about the next Pokemon line is, well, pretty much the pseudo-legendary of the region, which is that of Kommo-o. So, what is there to be said about Kommo-o? Well, first of all, I really do like the design, but really more or less say of his body structure. I just really like it. The fact that he has, like, I really do like the elongated arms, I like the tail, like his whole body structure, it just screams perfection in my eyes. And loving the fact that he has like all these scales that he can cling together. I guess kind of like saying like how like when a rattlesnake shakes those the end part of its tail to get off that rattling sound. Kommo-o's scales are kind of pretty much the same way, and that to me is pretty cool. Now, competitively speaking for Kommo-o, the fact that he is a dragon and fighting typing, which is a really awesome combination. Knowing that he has a good amount of resistances, he does have his weaknesses, especially to the likes of fairy types. But the fact that he has really good abilities in basically bulletproof, which I basically explained with the likes of Chestnut, that ballistic moves he has an immunity to. Overcoat, where it's basically he's immune to powder moves and damage from sandstorm and hail. And Soundproof, where he's basically immune to all sound-based moves, including Heal Bell. And his stats are really good. He has really good physical stats, attack of 110 and defense of 125, and his special stats are not too bad off. Special attack of 100 and defense of 105, and yeah, he's still a bit on the slow side of 85, but heck. And the movesets that he could be able to do, like, he has like a freaking belly drum set. You can also go especially defensive or just go offensive stealth rock. And the fact that Kommo-o was actually one of the few selected Pokemon in Sun and Moon, or I think it was like Ultra Sun and Moon, that he got his own exclusive Z move, which is crud, I forgot the name. I think it was pronounced Clangorious Soul Blaze. I think I might have pronounced that wrong. Yeah. Now, shiny Kommo-o. Now, this shiny is a shiny that, well, nobody likes. Because it's basically the two primary colors that they went with, which is basically sort of a deep yellow color with some pink. Where people pretty much say that it basically has pink scales, but yet it looks like someone just took a piss all over it, and they pretty much call the yellow piss yellow. or urine yellow, and nobody likes it. But I say it's alright. Though I still prefer regular Komodo to shiny Komodo, but like I just said, it's not that bad. But I really feel like Game Freak could have done better with shiny Komodo. But if I still wanted to hunt for one, I'd still do it anyways. So, pretty much, love Komodo. I love his body structure. Love the concept of just a whole bunch of clanging scales and all that, and having his exclusive Z move of Clangoria's Soul Blaze, which let me all tell you that Clangoria's Soul Blaze does hit both Pokemon if it was used in a double battle or even a triple battle, but really who even does triple battles anyways? It's pretty amazing. And overall, Komodo is just really cool Pokemon. Alright, on to the second to last entry of this list. It is, well, that of yet another, well, I guess it's considered to be one of my legendaries of choice for this region. Though it's surprisingly not Solgaleo or Lunala. It's actually that of Necrozma. So, what is it about Necrozma? Well, first of all, he just basically just looks like a freaking robot. I mean, considering the fact that he is, well, even though he is a pure psychic type, it looked like he would be like a psychic steel type, but Solgaleo already pretty much took that type. So they decided just to make him a pure psychic type. Or how interesting would it be if it was like a psychic dark type, but whatever. And I just really do like the design of Necrozma. Now, Necrozma competitively, well, in terms of base Necrozma, he can be a good special attacker, and he does have some fairly average stats for legendary standards. But really, things do come more into play when it comes to Necrozma's alternate forms, or as basically I'm calling them his fusion forms, which is Dawn Wings Necrozma and Dusk Mane Necrozma. Basically, both of those forms are within Ubers. And then there is Ultra Necrozma. Ultra Necrozma, my god, is an absolute terrifying beast. Knowing that Ultra Necrozma is up there with the strongest of the strong. Because technically, looking at it, Ultra Necrozma is the third strongest Pokemon in the franchise. Because we take a look at Ultra Necrozma's stats, it has base 167 in both attack stats, 97 in HP and his defenses, and 129 in speed. Basically meaning Ultra Necrozma is going to hit you really fast, and he's going to hit you hella hard. And not to mention, with Ultra Necrozma's ability in Nero Force, is where basically Ultra Necrozma's attacks that are super effective against the target, it will basically do 1.25 times damage. That is scary. Not to mention that when you fight Ultra Necrozma in the main story at the top of that tower in Ultra Megapolis, not only do you have to deal with those absolutely deadly stats, but the fact that before the battle, Ultra Necrozma Omni boosts himself, which basically what I'm talking about is that all of his stats get boosted up by 1 before the battle begins. Thus, at that moment, Ultra Necrozma officially becomes the strongest attacker in the game. And the thing of it is, for me, when I took on Ultra Necrozma for the first time, it took me, no joke, 4 tries to beat him. Seriously, 4 stinking attempts to beat Ultra Necrozma. Because not only with all those deadly stats combined with Neuroforce, and the fact that Ultra Necrozma's moveset was pretty much set up to deal with half of the type chart. And if I can remember this correctly, his moveset was his two main stab moves in Photon Geyser and Dragapulse, but also having Power Gem and Smart Strike to deal with berry types. Yeah, seriously, half of the types with that type of moveset. And trust me, I can seriously completely see how Nuzlockers would be able to deal with the likes of this guy. And I betcha probably many attempts of Nuzlocks in Ultra Sun and Moon were probably just finished by the time they got to Ultra Necrozma. Because seriously, if you are not prepared for Ultra Necrozma, he will just absolutely, utterly, just completely slaughter your entire team if you're not prepared. Now, to be kind of getting back to the what I would call the fusion forms of Dawnwings and Duskmane, it's, well, basically essentially like what they did with Kyurem in Black and White 2, whereas basically they took Necrozma and allowed him to fuse with the likes of Solgaleo or Lunala. And between those two forms, I like Duskmane more than Dawnwings, because it's kind of funny when I look at it, that when I look at Duskmane Necrozma, his design kind of gives me a bit of a vibe from Zoids, where you look at Duskmane Necrozma, he kind of looks like the Blade Liger from Zoids. You probably might see a picture to kind of see a comparison to what I'm talking about. Because, I mean, seriously, he just kind of does. And not only that, with both Duskmane and with Dawnwings and Duskmane Necrozma and Ultra Necrozma, they too have their own exclusive Z moves. If I can try to remember the names of those moves, which maybe I should actually go on to say Cerebi and try and find these moves, because they are really amazing Z moves. But while I'm looking for them, I can talk about Ultra Necrozma's Z move, which is basically really beautifully named, called the Light That Burns the Sky, where it's basically if you have the move Photon Geyser, its signature move, it'll do it. And yeah, I just say forget about looking at the Z moves of the fusion forms, because again, this is what happens when you're doing this completely unprepared. But yeah, basically overall, I definitely do like Necrozma as much as I do like Solgaleo and Lunala, but what they did with him for Ultra Sun and Moon just made Necrozma that much better. Giving him these fusion forms, and then just going a step further and giving him this absolutely deadly Ultra form that completely slaughters teams if you're not ready. And overall, I just love Necrozma. Oh, and I completely forgot talking about Shiny Necrozma. I completely forgot about that because I was just talking about the fusion forms and everything. So, Shiny Necrozma, pretty much taking all the black and making it a very deep yet saturated blue is, well, very nice. And then seeing the fusion forms, where it's basically the actual Necrozma parts still stay blue, but the bodies of Solgaleo and Lunala go from like if you were to see how shiny Solgaleo and Lunala are, which are basically red in color, but with the fusion forms of Necrozma, their bodies go from red to pink, which I will say it's not the greatest choice, but it's not the worst. And then, of course, Shiny Ultra Necrozma is, well, basically, you just see all the blue parts of the body, the blue metallic parts of the body, and they just give it like this nice light coating to make it look brighter. And it's just really cool. So, overall, again, just absolutely love Necrozma for what they did to him in Ultra Sun and Moon. And kind of making him the much more focal point for Ultra Sun and Moon is, well, pretty good. And that's all I gotta say about that. Alright. Now for the last Pokemon to be talking about. It's, well, pretty much my starter of choice. And it is that of Incineroar. Yep. I picked Incineroar. And I will definitely say that this Pokemon has a history. Where basically in the beginning, when Rowlet, Litten, and Popplio were revealed, everyone loved Rowlet and Litten, but hated Popplio. But then when the final of all forms came around, well, let's just say there was definitely a change in the tides. Where it was basically, everyone loved Decidueye and Primarina, and completely hated Incineroar. Because, well, I pretty much made like an entire video talking about the one thing that people just did not like about Incineroar, which was completely and utterly ridiculous, and in the way how I see it, it's just downright stupid and childish that they give off this complaint. And simply putting it, the biggest complaint they had about Incineroar is that he's bipedal. Like, seriously? That's your biggest reason for hating Incineroar, is that he's bipedal? This is just really the thing that I hate about living in this day and age, where basically everybody is just completely and utterly overly sensitive about every freaking thing in the world. But anyway, Incineroar competitively, well, he's in a case of having a good attack stat and being slow. But here's the thing that made him truly great. It's the fact of his hidden ability, which is that of Intimidate. Yep, Incineroar became an Intimidator, where basically, when the moment that Incineroar comes out into battle, Intimidate activates, boom. Your opponent's Pokemon's attack stat gets dropped by 1. And trust me, it was because of that, of Incineroar getting Intimidate, that he became a really popular choice for VGC. Like, for recent VGC. Like, yeah, pretty much Ultra Sun and Moon VGC. He was basically in 5 of the top 8 teams in VGC in the Masters Division. It just goes to show you, you do one little thing to a Pokemon and it could change it forever. Now, how it might continue on in the VGC meta, I don't know. But I'm just really happy to see my big old wrestling kitty get his time in the light. Basically within the competitive scene. Not only just for VGC, but also for Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah. He pretty much became the Gen 7 representative for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And Sakurai actually gave the reason why he chose Incineroar to be in the game. Which I can kind of pretty much say that he wanted to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Where he basically said that he wanted like a wrestler as a fighter, and basically choosing a Gen 7 representative. Though I think it was probably said that when it came to the big decision of who he wanted to choose, it was between Incineroar and Decidueye. But in the end, Sakurai chose Incineroar, and when I saw the reveal that Incineroar had with Ken, I was definitely happy. And the way how I use Incineroar in Smash Bros. Is just, for some reason, I'm just not the best with him, but I still continue to use him because I just want to be good with him, damn it. I want to be good with this wrestling kitty. And I've improved a bit. But anyway, here's another interesting thing about Incineroar for me, is that when I found out about Incineroar and seeing his typing being that of a Fire Dark type, which is basically the first Fire Dark type Pokemon since the likes of Houndour and Houndoom, I pretty much figured out the perfect nickname for him. Because considering the fact that he is a wrestler, he is a part Dark type, and he is classified as a heal Pokemon, there was only one wrestler that came to mind when I wanted to nickname him. I pretty much gave, well, when it was first obtained as a male Litten, I decided to give him the nickname Kane. You know, basically Kane. Because basically, they have so much similarities. Because, I mean, Kane is big and bulky, or big and strong. Incineroar is still pretty big and strong. Kane was kind of like associated to being in the dark most of the time, and basically Incineroar, part Dark type, and the fact that Kane really liked to associate himself with fire, and Incineroar is part Fire type as well. So it just made perfect sense for me to nickname Incineroar Kane. And that's all I can really say, is I just absolutely love Incineroar, and he is, as of right now, my favorite fire starter overall. Now, Shiny Incineroar. This Shiny is under the case of I don't exactly like it. Because what they basically did is that the red on his body stayed the same, but all of his black turned to white. And that is something I really don't like. Because what I really felt like they could have done is that they should have kept the white, but turning the red to black to make it look more like a white tiger. That would have been really cool. But it is what it is. And what's also interesting is that Shiny Incineroar's colors is actually that of a color palette that is used in Smash Bros. Ultimate as one of Incineroar's alternates. Which I think only one or two other Pokemon, okay, 3 technically other Pokemon in Smash Bros. Ultimate that actually have their shiny color concept. Pikachu, Mewtwo, and Charizard. But with Mewtwo and Charizard, it's basically more of their original color, like their original shiny colors. With Mewtwo having like a yellowish green tail, and Charizard having the purple body with teal-ish colored wings. So, yeah, pretty much overall, I really love Incineroar, despite what the haters say, and I will still continue to use him as Smash Bros. Ultimate, no matter how much booty I am with him. And overall, I'm just really happy that he got his time in the light in VGC with having that Intimidate ability, and the fact of just having an overall wrestler as a Pokemon, because I don't think we really have had that of like a wrestler, because we do have Pokemon that are like based off of different fighting styles. Like we got Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan with a kicker and a boxer, Sock and Throw with karate and judo, Hariyama being like that of a sumo wrestler, and Incineroar is just a pure wrestler, like pretty much the wrestlers that you would see in WWE. So yeah, overall, just absolutely love Incineroar, and will pretty much be my favorite fire starter unless Scorbunny's final evolution is something better. But we'll just have to wait and see. So that'll pretty much do it for another long video that has taken pretty much an hour to do. And that will pretty much be the last one for this type until Generation 8 comes around, and Generation 8 kind of settles itself in. And once I see all the Pokemon there, I will give my thoughts of around 10 Pokemon within Generation 8 that I do have a liking for. But just to pretty much a quick little rundown of a few Pokemon, or the Pokemon that they have revealed for Generation 8 that I have a liking for right now, is, well, basically this: Dreadnought, Corviknight, Zacian, and I believe that's it. That's only like 3 right now. Oh yeah, and Duraludon. Those are like the only 4 Pokemon in Generation 8 right now that I do have a liking for as of this moment. So that's, I guess you could say that's a small preview of what's to come. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll pretty much be seeing you guys whenever I decide to record something again. So I'll be seeing you guys then.